Hi, friends. It's Kayla Brannon. Welcome back to the Let's Get Candid podcast. How's everybody doing today? Happy Thursday. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever day or time it is that you're listening. So happy to be back on the mic with you guys. And thank you so much for bearing with me the last 2 weeks that I have not uploaded. I was not planning to not upload. With Thanksgiving, and I had strep throat for the first time ever, and I was really, really sick. And then Art Basel, I just did not have an opportunity to get this episode up for you guys. But I'm so excited to share the final episode with a guest of season 2. And then next week, we'll do a 2024 recap, 2025 intention setting episode. And then we will go on hiatus until 2025. And I cannot believe that we are already at that point where we're talking about 2025. But yeah, let's catch you up. There's been so much to talk about, and so much has happened since I last chatted with you guys on here. I got a haircut today, so it is a little bit shorter than I normally like, but I needed to freshen up the layers, and I'm going to Nashville tomorrow on a girls' trip with my best friend from law school, so I needed to get my hair done. I don't remember the last time I washed my own hair. I just have not had an opportunity to do it myself. It takes me so long to wash it and blow dry it and style it that I would rather pay someone to do it so I can work while it's being done. So I think I got my hair done for my birthday, got my hair done for Thanksgiving, got my hair done for Art Basel, and then now. So 4 weeks in a row. So at least a month that I have not washed my own hair, which is honestly hilarious, but also really, really nice because it's my least favorite task of all of the beauty tasks to do. But yeah, like I said, I'm going to Nashville this week, so I have to self-tan later. I still have to pack. I got myself for my birthday 2 gifts this year. Number one being Invisalign, which you can probably tell looks a little funny, and I probably sound a little different. I'm still getting used to it. I switched my first tray to my second tray tomorrow. I'll be doing it for 9 trays for 10 days each tray. So 6-7 months of having Invisalign on, but I'm so excited to finally fix my teeth. It's one of my biggest insecurities. So I'm really grateful that I was able to treat myself to Invisalign this year. And then the other gift that I got myself is the Baze Mini Weekender bag, the little that goes over my suitcase. I have the carry-on. I got it in maple to have the matching set. I have the backpack as well in the same color, but I wanted a more cute little travel bag for the weekend. Like the big weekender is just honestly too big. I might as well take a carry-on at that time if I'm going to take that, but the mini weekender is a really nice alternative, especially if I'm literally only going for the weekend. Like I'm going to Nashville, so I'll take the carry-on and the mini weekender, and that be my work bag and travel bag for the plane and all of that. So those are the 2 gifts I got myself, and I actually just unboxed. I'm going to an Indian wedding in Cabo in February, so I purchased a few outfits from India for the wedding, and those just came in the mail, so I can't wait to unbox those. I took them out of the package, but I need to shake them out and steam them and all of that. But I'm so excited for that wedding. I don't know if I've mentioned that to you guys, but that is something that I'm really looking forward to in the new year. And honestly, things are good. I've just been really, really busy. I got strep throat, and I've been kind of recovering from a cold for the last 2.5 weeks. Just busy season Q4. I've been so overwhelmed, so stressed out to the point where I stopped eating, and my period was out of whack, and I just had a lot of stress and hormone fluctuations, and I just was not feeling it. I think that's part of why I got sick. I think it was my body's way of saying, hey, Kayla, it's time to slow down. So I've been trying to take it easy, but definitely have a lot going on at work, which is all good things. Really, really exciting. The people that I'm getting to meet, the communities that I'm a part of, the opportunities that I'm having, the events that I'm getting invited to. I could not be more grateful, but there's definitely a lot going on. And I'm really looking forward to a girls' weekend going out of office. And then in 10 days after that, I'm going on my family vacation to Europe for almost 2 weeks, which I'm really looking forward to. We're going to Vienna, Prague, and Budapest. I don't know if I've mentioned that to you guys either. I feel like I love this podcast and I have come such a long way and I've grown a lot on here, but I just have really not given it the attention that it deserves, which is why I want to go on hiatus and come back stronger in the new year, more intentional. And that has been a really big theme of my life in the last month. Just I did a more intentional Basel, only going to events that I was actually invited to and letting the day unfold. And not trying to plan and schedule everything and not being so type A and just really allowing opportunities to come my way. And that has really served me well in the last few weeks. And I feel a lot more grounded and inspired and excited and empowered for the things that are in my life now. And I could not be more grateful. So I want to share that with you guys here. That's part of why I'm going on hiatus, and just I need some time off to really focus and organize and figure out where I want to go with my personal brand as my law firm grows as well. And I think I have a lot to think about, but I think a big part of my personal brand is still the lifestyle content and being a creator myself and sharing fashion and beauty and wellness and travel and productivity and entrepreneurship and the behind the scenes of being a business owner. And just finding more ways to share that in a really intentional way. And I think my newsletter has become a big part of it. And I really enjoy sharing what I'm up to on there and writing content out more. So if I continue the podcast, which I plan to right now, doing 1 to 2 episodes a week, or 1 to 2 episodes a month, instead of one every single week, and just really being more focused and taking the time to really have intentional conversations, whether they're solo episodes or guest episodes, and creating more content on Instagram and YouTube Shorts and TikTok about my firm as well. But I made the firm accounts on there. So now I need to create content on multiple accounts. And thank God I have assistants for that. They have been a lifesaver for me, both of them, with my LinkedIn, my newsletter, and all my social media platforms. But it's definitely been a lot to keep up with, which is why I need a breather. And I think that's again why I got sick. It was just so much, and consulting and mentorship and personal branding and providing value to those in my community and my friends and being there for them. And I'm at a transitional point in my life too, on a personal level, wellness wise, relationship wise, friendship wise, family. I'm entering a new chapter now that I'm 27. I cannot believe I'm in my late 20s. And I really want to show up for myself and take more care of myself, because I realize that I put a lot of myself in taking care of everybody else. I take on everyone else's problems, and then nobody takes care of mine because they're not one's responsibility. They're mine, but I don't have the energy or the bandwidth at the end of the day to handle them. But I don't need to take on other people's things. So that got a little deep, but that's all of what's been going on behind the scenes the last few weeks that contributed to me missing a couple episodes. And of course, Thanksgiving. I wanted to give you guys the day with your families, and I hope you all had a beautiful Thanksgiving and you got some goodies on Black Friday. If you've done your Christmas shopping, I did an Amazon Live last night. You can go check it out on my profile, of things that I am gifting this year or have gifted to myself that are more intentional. Again, that's like the theme of the word of the year for me. It was intention. Gifts that we maybe forget to give each other or give ourselves, but are really, really important, like teeth whitening strips or, an iPad case. I got an iPad for my birthday. I got myself the Apple Pencil and like the iPad case, or a tripod, for content creation, if that's something that you're into, or a bag. I got myself the JW Pay bag in green. So then I loved it so much, I got it in brown too. And, hair products and tools and scrunchies and makeup brushes and things that we may forget to get and clean and take care of, that we need to restock on. Those are fun stocking stuffers for the wellness girlies or the fashion girlies in your life. I got a heated lash curler, which I'm obsessed with. And yeah, so I did that yesterday. What else have I done this week? I went to the gym. I went on the treadmill for like the first time in years. And I ran into like half the world at that gym, which was hilarious. But I'm actually thinking about getting a gym membership, because that's another thing. I really want to focus more on my wellness this year. Lowering stress, lowering cortisol, eating more protein, eating a very protein-fueled diet, and working out more. Toning is big, Pilates and weights and strength training and things like that. And making the most of the time that I'm here, because I know as the next couple of years go by, these are one of the last few years that I'll be living at home with my family, and I want to spend as much time with them as possible. I'm going to take my grandma to Europe. I think we're going to do Italy in the spring or summer, early summer. I'm really looking forward to that. What else can I catch you guys up on? I'm trying to think if there's anything else. Honestly, I really can't complain. Things are good. I just need a vacation. So I'm really excited for Nashville, although it is going to be cold, probably snowing. But it'll be fun to have a little white Christmas type girls trip before I go to Europe and go see Christmas markets. So it's gonna be a good preparation to make sure I have all the layers and all the things that I need for Vienna, Prague, and Budapest. So make sure you follow me on Instagram and TikTok to see my trip on there. And of course, I'll do a roundup for you guys on the newsletter of where I went, what I did, what I recommend, and I'll keep you guys posted on there, because that's going to be the new life update, day-to-day like updates on there weekly. And then I'm going to do more intentional episodes on here, probably more solos, Q&As and things like that. So that's the plan right now. We'll see how it goes. But if you want any content from me, please let me know what you want to see. This is for you guys. This has always been for you. My way of sharing conversations that are really inspiring and empowering to me, that I think are really valuable, and sharing them with you guys and giving you access to those opportunities and those conversations, because they're my friends, they're my community, and I want to share it with all of you. So if there's any content you guys want to see, any topics you want me to cover, any guests you want me to have, please, please, please let me know. And without further ado, I'll introduce this week's guest, and then we'll dive right into the episode. So I'm having Katelyn on from Havre de Luxe. She is the owner and founder of a company that helps you take care of your luxury goods. So if you buy designer handbags and you are so worried about scuffing the hardware or not hurting the leather, like Chanel, Hermes, or Dior, or Celine, or Louis Vuitton, Goyard, things like that. And trust me, we all are into fashion. We all want to take care of our bags and shoes, and you want to make sure that they stay in good quality. And you don't have to baby them, like you buy this bag and you want to wear it. You don't want to like leave it in the dust bag and never get any use out of it. If you made that investment, you want to make sure that it's in good quality and it's protected. Havre de Luxe sells cleansing solutions, cleansing wipes, deodorizers, perfumes for the bags, and like little hardware covers, like kind of like a screen protector for your phone, a screen protector for the hardware on your bags, to make sure that there's no nicks and scratches and things like that. I personally like a more lived-in bag, so I don't mind most of those things. Like my watch is very scuffed up, but I wear it every day. Like it makes sense, and you can tell that it's well worn and well loved. But maybe you buy a bag from a consignment store that smells like cigarette smoke. Katelyn and I talked about that story during the episode, and that's how she came up with the idea of the perfume. And we just talk about how she decided to build this business. And I just think it's so cool when we talk about this in the episode too. People create a business because they have a white space in the market in their own life, and they're like, I'm going to be the one to create this. And that's exactly how I founded my firm too. I saw the need for a lawyer in the creator economy and influencer space. And at the time, there really wasn't anyone doing it. And I said, I'm going to be that. And I pursued it relentlessly. And here I am. That's exactly Katelyn's story. So without further ado, again, I want to introduce you to Katelyn from Havre de Luxe. And I hope you guys enjoy this episode. If you liked it, please leave a rating and review. Please subscribe to the show, share with a friend, tag us as you're listening. Let me know who you want to see next, topics you want me to cover next. And I will see you guys all in my 2024 recap episode. I cannot believe it's already the end of the year. I hope you all have a great week, and I will talk to you guys in next week's episode of Meet Katelyn. So Katelyn, what's something that people wouldn't know about you just from following you?
Oh, that's a juicy one.
Told you.
Yeah. I think when people follow me and maybe see me, maybe I'm completely wrong, but they might get the perception that I'm super like carry like luxe every day, and I'm like wearing designer all the time, and I've got this like handbag collection. When in actual fact, I'm very much like play things down. Like I didn't tell my friends about my business for like years. And then they found out and they were like, why have you never told us? Like, and I'm very like a closed book. I don't really share very much. And I'm very like, I've got this Nagedi handbag, and I love my luxury, don't get me wrong, but I basically just use that like all the time. I'm very much like, yeah, quite low key, I guess.
So then I guess if you are so low key and closed book, like what about the luxury space really enticed you and your, why was that something that you wanted to make part of your business?
Yeah. So for me, the like luxury has always been this world of like, I don't know, I grew up in the countryside, like we were kind of like really in the middle of nowhere. But I'd always dreamed of like having my designer bag and like going out and just being like buying into that world. And so when I got I was like, right, I'm gonna buy my first bag, and it's just like I suppose I'd been shopping before, and I'd been to like Bicester outlet, I'd like been to like nicer places to go shopping, like London and stuff, but I'd never gone into any of the designer shops. And I would kind of see people coming out of them with like their big paper bags filled with like new bags and like accessories and whatnot. I'd look at them and be like, oh my God, like one day that, could be me. And it was just this like world that I just didn't feel like I like had grown up. It was ever like a part of. So yeah, I just got it into my like kind of head that like this, I've got it. I want my first designer bag. So then I bought my first designer bag, and like I can't really put it into words what it felt like carrying it. It just felt, I think, because like I will wear like very like mundane clothes like H&M, like Zara, but if I'm carrying a Chanel bag, it makes me feel like I could be wearing like Chanel head to toe. I just feel great. And I'll wear like Uggs and like really kind of like like normal clothes, but if I'm carrying a Chanel bag, I'm like, I feel put together. And I think
It
that
elevates. It elevates. Like I'm actually wearing like a white t-shirt and Zara jeans right now. And I'm not, it's not a very fancy bag, but everybody's obsessed with this. It was like $100,
yeah,
and it elevates the look so much. And to your point, like I still have my first designer bag, and I want to ask you like what that was, and we'll dive into the whole
yeah,
story. But whenever I get to wear my first designer bag, it's a Speedy 25, it still means something. It's still
yeah,
special, but it takes this look it's a white t-shirt and brown jeans and gold ballet flats.
yeah.
But if I were to wear that bag, it takes it to the next level. My laptop doesn't fit in there, which is why I'm not using that one. But um I love that you could wear the most simple outfits, like you said, like
Yeah.
leggings or sweatpants or Uggs,
Yeah.
and just wear a designer bag or jewelry,
It
and
just
changes the whole
it
thing.
just makes you feel so much like you until you've kind of experienced it, it's really hard to put into words. Like I guess it just makes me feel like quite proud and just like, yeah, I'm okay. Like I'm not just there in like my leggings and like Adenola hoodie maybe, or like, yeah, if I've got my little Chanel over me, I'm like, yeah, I'm okay. And it's that feeling that, yeah, I just don't think people maybe can understand unless they've got some designer bags, or unless they're that way inclined. It's hard to put it into words.
Yeah. What was your first designer bag, and how old were you when you got it?
So I think I was 23, and my first designer handbag was a Mulberry Del Rey. And I'm so sad I didn't keep it. I sold it because I was
I
kind of
wanted to
like,
sell my Speedy so bad because I'm like,
yeah,
it
so
went out of style for such a long time, and I was like, I could sell this, it's perfect condition, and get another bag that I would actually wear more. But now they're back, and
yeah,
I'm so
sell
glad
it.
I never sold it.
Don't do it. I
It's
regret it so much because I wish I just had it for me, like that sentimental value, because that is the bag that started it all. And I'm so sad that I sold it. And looking back, I'm like, yeah, I massively regret that. But that's the bag. I wanted Mulberry, being from England, UK. Mulberry at that point was like big. It was like Alexa Chung, like Kate Moss, like all of like, it was really kind of like the go-to brand in England. And I wanted that. And so, yeah, that's what I went. And it was New Year's Day. I'll never forget it. We went to Bicester, and we got there like before all the shops opened. And I'd never been into a Mulberry store. So I looked online and I like walked past the display. I was just too scared to go in. It was just like too like, oh yeah. And I went in and I was just like like looking around like all this, it was just like a different world. And yeah, I decided on that style. And actually it's very similar style to the Speedy. It's that kind of like bowler style. It's got the like long crossbody strap, but it's got the top handle, and that's what I loved. I loved that it was just like so functional and I could like wear it in multiple ways. And yeah, that was my very first bag. That's the bag that started all of this.
Yeah. No, I remember, I don't know how old I was when I first went into my first designer store, because
Yeah.
my first bag was a birthday gift, but I think I must have been like 21 when I went into the Gucci store at a similar an outlet mall here
Yeah.
on Black Friday, which happened to be my birthday that year.
Oh.
And I remember that was like, my mom was like, we'll get one bag and that'll be your 21st birthday gift. And I got a Gucci. I still have that one too. That bag is so beat up, like a black little crossbody with a gold chain. But it's such a like practical, easy bag. It goes with me everywhere. But yeah, there's just nothing like walking into a store and
No.
just it's so like, it's like peak girlhood, like seeing like the fabrics and the colors and the textures and the hardware, and it's so much fun being in there. But yeah, walk me through. You say this was the bag that started off for you. How did you build this? What do you consider Havre de Luxe? Like, is it like now you guys have multiple products, but it started out with just one signature product? But what do you consider your business model, and how did it all start?
I didn't ever think that it was going to be this. So I bought my first bag, and this was like I peaked. This was it. Like this meant everything. So I got home. I didn't put it back in its dust bag. I literally left it out on display like it was art. Like this was like, yeah, used to stare at it all the time. So I plucked up the courage to use it one day. I hadn't put anything on it. Like I didn't know how like to care that I didn't even think about it. I just had bought this bag and I was going to use it. And I took it out and I was so careful, like so careful with this bag. I didn't put it down anywhere. I didn't like, yeah, I would never like put it on the floor or anything like that. Like I just kept by my side. And then I got home and I was taking all my bits and pieces out of it to put it back on its like little display. And I scratched the hardware. And I thought, oh my God, like I've babied this bag and I damaged it for the first time. Like, oh my God, if I keep it is every time I take it out the house, am I just going to damage it more? Like, I wanted this bag to last me forever. And like, it was a big purchase. It cost me a lot of money. And I thought, my God, like we protect our phones and we buy cases and things like that. What about our bags? Like, these aren't cheap. Like I think it cost me about £800 back then, which is about $1,000. So yeah, I mean, in today's money, it's maybe about $1,500. So I was thinking like, oh my God, like, and I'd saved up at that point. It was like a lot of money for me. And so I just thought, right, okay, there must be something out there to protect the hardware. Went online, like I just assumed there would be, like knowing like Mulberry's a big brand, like I thought, yeah, I'll just be able to type into Google like protection for my Mulberry, like hardware, and there was nothing. And I remember like I was so shocked because I just took it as a given that there would be something like that because yeah, it just seemed so obvious. And I spent the night researching online on Google and there was nothing. And I just me being me, I'm like, right, I need to protect my bag. Like I don't want to be scared to use it. I want to be able to enjoy it because I think that is the thing for me as well. We get messages all the time from people being like, oh my God, I bought this bag, but I'm too scared to use it. And I want people to be able to use their bags. Like we've saved up, or maybe it was a gift, and like you should be able to use your bag, like, and enjoy using it, like have that special feeling, have like wear it with pride. And so just for me, I was like, right, I'm gonna make them. I'm gonna set myself out and I'm gonna make them. I like just for me, like didn't think anything further ahead than that. So I like spoke to like loads of different people, found this guy that kind of I think just took pity on me because he was like this most random like request and like sent like this big long email, and I think he was just like, okay. So worked with him, like he kind of understood and like had multiple like phone calls, like sent him like things like little drawings and prototypes. And eventually, after a long time, I got what I wanted, and I got the protector for my bag. And I was like, oh my god, I'm so happy, because I was like, I've sorted it. I can now use my bag. I don't have to worry about it. Like, great. Like, that's it. I had more, so if I wanted to buy any bags in the future, I was like, perfect. Like, that was it for me. And then it was my mom, I think, said to me, like, why don't you put them online? And I'm like, really? Like, I don't know anything about like online. Like, at the time, we lived in the middle of the countryside. Like, I wasn't
What
particularly.
year was this? Do you remember like what time?
I think it was about, it's so hard to remember back. So I'm 32. It was about 8 years ago.
Okay.
So what was that? What would that be? Um, 2024. 16?
2016-ish.
Yeah, would have been about then. I wasn't active, like I didn't have Instagram. I just wasn't, it wasn't a big part of my world, like social media. And my mum said, why do you stick them online? I was like, well, where? So I stuck them on eBay, made this like the most basic listing, like hand typed it up. Like, I think I maybe took a few pictures like with my like phone at the time, and I stuck them on eBay, and that was it. I just left it, like, just like, and then I got a sale, and I remember, like, I lived at home at the time, and I remember like going through to my mom and being like, oh my god, I've sold one, like, and we were just laughing because we thought it was hilarious that, I didn't think anyone would even understand what they were, never mind buy one. And then overnight came, and then with the following morning, we went out for a walk with our dog, and my phone just kept pinging. And I think at that point I'd sold like 13. And me and my mom were just like in utter disbelief because, as I say, I didn't know anyone with any designer handbags. I didn't know anyone. So I couldn't be like, oh, could you maybe try these? Or like, could you maybe like tell people about, I literally knew no one. We lived in the middle of nowhere. And yeah. And so we were just thinking, like, it was just disbelief, to be honest. So I had to go out to our local town and I didn't have envelopes. I had nothing. So I just didn't expect anyone to get it or even find it. So I'm like, how are these people even finding this? It's just an eBay listing. Like, how many eBay listings are there? And it turned out that there were groups on Facebook for these mulberry handbags. I didn't know. And women had found them on eBay and mentioned it in the groups. And that's how everyone was finding them. And so then I when women had messaged me on eBay and were like, oh, I found you on the mulberry groups. Like, this is amazing. I was like, what mulberry groups? Like, what are you talking about? And then they like linked me, and then I clicked through, and I honestly, I still remember it now, thinking, oh my god, there's other women that are like what I like, because I didn't know, like, and I was like, oh my god, like, it was like another world, like, had just opened up. And I think there was about 20 odd thousand members in this group, and I remember thinking, oh my god, like, this is insane. So I joined the group, and I think I messaged an admin. I had no idea how the etiquette or anything like that worked. I just messaged the admin, and I was like, this is me. Like, I just wanted to introduce myself. It's been mentioned a couple of times, blah, blah, blah. Luckily, the admin was like really lovely. And I think she allowed me to mention it on, like, or she advertised it on their page. So naturally from that, I just got like a lot of eyes on my eBay listing. And then after a couple of days, we were still like selling them. I just had like messages, have you got a website? Have you got a website? And I was like, no, like, never, like, I didn't even have a brand name. I didn't have anything. And so within the first week, I ended up, luckily, I must have Googled like how to sell online. Shopify came up. I'd never heard of Shopify before, but luckily I chose Shopify. So I like put together this website, like paid someone, I think online, like £10 for a logo, and like kind of just pieced it all together. Like, I'd never built a website in my life. Like, just literally work. I think I'm quite tenacious when I like want to do something. Worked like day and night. I was very lucky at the time. I lived at home and I worked for my dad. So I had the time and the resources to kind of put into it and just try and like see what was going to come of it. And yeah, just like naturally from there, we had the first protector set. And then I really listened to customers. Like, they were asking, right, I want this bag, I want protectors for this, I want protectors for this. And I just basically took any money that I'd earned and like went and bought the next bag. And then it just literally from there, Then some of the bags, maybe like the hardware was the same size. So, oh, okay, great. Like that fits that. And it literally just grew from there. And I mostly stayed Mulberry. Like that was kind of like, I didn't know anything. I'd heard of obviously Louis Vuitton and Gucci and things like that, but I'd never owned any of their bags. So for the first, I'd say at least year, it was just Mulberry. I was in like the groups and it was kind of like going well. It was like, yeah, grown to kind of more than I'd ever, like, I mean, as I say, I literally didn't think I would sell a single one. And then things like it went, things kind of went to a point where I like wasn't really growing. We'd like launched, I think we had like over 100 protectors for Mulberry. And I thought, right, like, where can we go with this? I'd been asked a lot about the Pochette Matisse, Louis Vuitton. And I knew that was like, okay, if we're going to do one, this needs to be the next one. So again, I just kind of like used the money that we'd made and I bought this like Louis Vuitton. And at that point was the point I went on Instagram and created our Instagram account and started to try and understand how Instagram works. Because up until then, I'd literally not even been on the app. I didn't understand it. And then I would say that's when things really changed for us, because that's when we kind of went into another market. So like we started to get a lot more people from the US, whereas before it was just the UK, and it just changed things. And then it was like, right, I want this bag and this bag. And then, as I say, it kind of then what I did for Mulberry just grew for all like different brands. And after a year of then, that's when I was like, right, I want to care for my bags. I like love cleaning. Like I'm like a bit of a clean freak. I want to be able to clean my bags and protect them. And that's when I then set out to find manufacturers who would work with me, like understand what I wanted and like come up with a basically 3-step. That's what I called it, because I used to use the Clinique 3-step years ago. And I loved how simple it was. I loved how easy, like 1, 2, 3. And I thought, if I'm going to like launch something, I want it to be like simple for people to understand what order the product should be used in. And so, yeah, I launched our 3-step and things have just kind of grown from there, really. And we've continued to expand on our protectors. We launched Chanel, Hermes, and the care product range grew as well. So, yeah.
I think it's really cool. Like I always say, the best way to start a business is kind of accidentally, like when you find a white space in the market. Like
Yeah.
you didn't know that there was a need for it. You did this for yourself and you took a chance and it paid off. But I think sometimes if you try so hard to force something, it may not work, or it takes a little longer. But when it's just like a perfect storm of things, you know, and
100%.
that just having the ingenuity to just, you know, I'm going to do this for myself and why not see what happens? And what you said of you really listen to your customers, you listen to what they were needing and what they were wanting to, and you built organically rather than throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks. There's so many businesses that jump to have multiple products within a few months of launching, or they launch with like a full range of products, but having a hero product, something that you are really good at, you're really known for, and then slowly expanding your customer base as you expand your product range, I think is so crucial. Especially in a product-based in a goods-based business. Like services is a little different, but I think for goods, it's, you know, it's just, there's so many things out there. What sets you apart? What about you is different? And I think for you, it's really that you're building for yourself and people like you were your consumers. And so you listen to them and then it grew organically. And same thing with like you wanting the cleaning products. That was the natural next step for you in expanding because that was what you needed. And there is going to be other people out there like that. I told you, like, I'm the worst about cleaning my bags. I really need to invest in your 3-step. But did any of the brands ever reach out to you and be like, what is happening? Or like, if you go to the store, like, you know, do you talk about it with the sales associates that like you have like these things? Like,
so no, no one's ever reached out in that space. And as I said at the beginning, like I'm so like, don't tell people what I do. Like, don't like, it's only last year that I showed my face on Instagram because I was just too like, I don't know, like as I say, like I'm really private and like I'm like, oh, I don't want to put myself out there too much. But we get messages like weekly from people like my essays recommended you and like they really like your products and like that is the coolest thing. Like
So they know about you, which is
I think
nice.
like maybe like yeah, so like there are definitely and I've got messages from essays like from Louis Vuitton and being like, oh my god, I love your products, I do recommend them to my clients, and that is like the biggest like compliment because yeah, that means so much and that they would recommend us. So yeah, I mean I think there are definitely like essays out there that like know of us and that bought from us, and that's always so cool when that happens. I love that.
What do you recommend for anyone who wants to start a service-based or a goods-based business like this? Like you said, like you did a lot of Googling very early
Yeah.
on and you found the first guy that made the initial protector for your bag, and then when it came to the 3-step, like how did you go and find these manufacturers to help you? Did you have to try a couple out? Did you know anybody who had used a manufacturer before? For someone who wants to do something like this, start their own business that requires formulas and product
Yeah.
development, how do you save up the money? How much should they be looking to spend on this, and where do you even start looking?
Yeah. So I knew no one. Like I just went into it completely blind and yeah, absolutely. Buying samples and testing and like, trialing different things and oh, I don't like that, but I quite like that bit of that and oh, could we maybe do that? And I think having a really clear vision, I knew what I wanted and I knew what like my customer would want from a product as well. I obviously knew that it had to be simple and it had to work in a retail capacity. There's no point me buying like a product that requires like a manual 10 page to use. Like no one's going to want to do that. So I knew that they had to be effective and actually work, but they had to be easy to use and safe to use as well. And made in the UK, that was quite a big thing for me. I wanted them as clean as we could get them, and I just want I tried and tested on my own collection. So I had to feel comfortable that they were good and that before I even tested them. In terms of like finding manufacturers, I literally just spent hours, like hours and days and like reaching out to people and some people ignore you and then some people get back and then conversations on the phone but I would say from all of that, the one thing I would take away from it is having a really clear vision and knowing what you want. So maybe it might come about that, oh, I could get that product and that's a bit cheaper, but that's not what I want. So I was like, no, like that's whereas maybe if you didn't have a clear vision, you'd be like, oh, well, I could maybe do that. Like with me, I will never settle. Like I'm really passionate about that. And sometimes I get people being like, oh, stop being like so finicky. I'm like, no, this is like, if I'm going to do this, I'm doing it right. And and being really kind of very strict with yourself on that, I think is really important. And I
I mean, it
think
goes
that,
back to what we said earlier about setting yourself apart, but how do you recommend developing that vision? What were your key pillars that you stick to even now? Like, probably how you develop the business plan and the business model, like all that's a little bit probably more sophisticated now, but at the early days, like developing that vision, what was important to you? You said in the UK, made in the UK, clean,
yeah.
effective, but even broader than that, like how did you come to that conclusion that those were what you were looking for?
I just think that was what like my beliefs were, and like that's what I wanted. So as I say, like originally the protectors were just for me. I didn't even think about anyone else ever using them. So I just like in my head, I was like, well, I don't want anything like that looks cheap or that looks horrible because it's going on my bag. So I literally just developed the product that I wanted and that I would be happy with. And I'm quite particular, and so I think by naturally just doing that, because I wouldn't settle in that respect, I managed to create a product that when other people used it, they were like, oh, wow, this does really work as well. Um,
But I guess how, when it comes to pricing it, because obviously when you're buying in bulk, things get more expensive. Um, and manufacturers might be like, that product is really expensive for
yeah.
that, like, margins and things like that. How do you keep that quality that you wanted for you. Again, you being your ideal consumer and knowing that other people are like you, but making it affordable. Like obviously these people are people who invest in luxury.
Yeah.
So they're probably willing to spend a little bit more, but also, you know, not always can they spend a lot on a cleaning product that's going to be used not that frequently. It's not
Yeah.
like it's like Windex, you know, like how did you figure out pricing and maintaining that quality?
So at first, when we first launched, there really wasn't, especially the cat products, there really wasn't much in it. As like over time, it's gone really well, and like it's continued to grow and expand. I've then invested and we've brought everything in. So we do all of our own bottle filling, labeling, sealing, like all of that ourselves. We make all of our protectors now are in house. We design everything in house. So, and I'm sort of by allowing me to take like the money that we've made at the beginning, and maybe we weren't making as much money then, but and now I've sort of taken that and then reinvested it into machines. Like, oh my goodness, the amount we've spent on machines is obscene. But that then has now allowed us to make that profit on them because we have bought it in house. Do you know what I mean? So a
Yeah.
big focus of mine is not only like continuing to grow and expand, but how can we do things better, more efficiently? Can we make the product better? And can we bring it in house and, you know, reinvest that extra money that we might make on the bottles to then grow it even more? Do you know like what I mean? That's been a big focus for sure.
No, that definitely makes sense. I think it's so easy to want to, you know, scale really big and make a lot of money really fast and, you know, make sure the margins you're profiting more than you're spending. But again, I like that because this all started out as something for you and keeping yourself at the forefront. I think really that being the key of why this business became even a business to begin with has allowed you to have that philosophy. But it's really easy to quickly move away from that, I think.
Yeah.
What are some of your best sellers? Like, what are the products that people like were begging you for that do really, really well?
So now, like I would say, one of our best sellers in terms of our care products are our cleansing wipes, and it's so funny because I nearly didn't launch those. They were like a huge investment for us because I had to buy so many, and the minimum order was like huge for that. But since we've launched, they have just been like such a great seller for us, and I think because they're just so convenient, they really work. The reason I actually launched them was because I had a light baby pink handbag, and I went out for dinner. And by the time we'd got from the car park to the restaurant, I looked at my bag and I had color transfer all over my bag. And I'm like, oh my God, like I didn't have a bottle of cleanser with me. And I remember saying to Craig at the time, like I had like napkins and like water and I'm like trying to like get it off. And everyone we were with were like, what are you doing? Because no one like had a designer bag. And it ruined my night. Like I'm not even joking. I was like, I literally, all I wanted to do was go home and try and clean my bag. And so the reason I launched our cleansing wipes that they're individually wrapped was so that if that does happen, you've got a cleanser right away, because the sooner you clean something like that, you don't allow it to settle into the leather. And that was why we launched them. And I so nearly didn't, but I was like, no, I do think that there's a want for this in the market. And yeah, and we get messages now like weekly being like, oh my God, they saved my bag and they've saved like Birkin.
I need those in bulk because I'm a jeans girl and all of my bags have the transfer on them.
Yeah, it's so bad. And it like it's just so the best thing to do, I've just literally written a blog on this. The best thing to do is to protect before you use your bag, and then have a cleansing wipe to hand. So if it does happen, our protection will do is it creates like an invisible barrier. So it does make it a lot easier to clean. And then it's the quickness. You've got to get to that stain as quickly as as quickly as you can.
Yeah. And I know you guys have perfumes now. So
yeah,
what was the thought process behind expanding into that? Because I mean, I love a new car smell. Actually, yesterday I got in an Uber and it smells either like a brand new car or had just gone through the car wash, and it smelled like that new leather or like that new shoes smell.
Yeah.
Like, what about that was like, we should do this for bags so they smell good?
So I managed to find a Speedy that was made the year I was born, but it had an awful odor, like really strong tobacco. And as someone who like doesn't and has never smoked, like I hated it. But I knew that, and these bags don't come around often that were made in the same year, and like so I knew I had to keep it. And I just was like, I tried everything. I'd had it. I hung it outside on like the washing line. I tried like obviously cleaned it, and it helped, but it was still there. And this like, and I didn't want to put anything inside it because I didn't want to put any of my purses or anything like that in it that it could then take that odor and like, you know, like ruin anything else. And I also didn't want to store it next to all my other bags because I'm thinking like, could this, you know, absorb? And so like over time we have our deodorizing spray and we had our deodorizing capsules which like were great. The spray is really good, but it just the smell of the spray does it deodorizes. But I was like, I remember saying to Craig, like I was spraying perfume. I remember thinking like, oh my god, imagine if I could have my bag that smells like my perfume, or I could like match them and whatnot. And then I remember thinking about it, and like when I say something like that, I'll just keep thinking about it for like days and days. And I remember I was like in the shower and like shouted to Craig, I was like, "Oh my god, I've got it!" Like, and I like write it down, like write this down, and that was like over a year ago. And I just thought, like, let's just make it happen. And like, I just started developing, started getting samples, reached out to different people. And because it's really hard to, if you want to, so our like perfume capsules are inspired by designer fragrances. And it's really hard. Like, some people would take like maybe a certain fragrance and it would be like that way, but then another company will take it and it will be completely different. So finding that like kind of balance where it's not exactly the same, but you can kind of tell the differences, but it's similar. Do you know what I mean? That was really hard to kind of, and I think as well, like smell is so subjective and scents are so subjective. It's very personal. That was kind of that was the hardest thing, finding the balance and trying to work out which fragrances to launch with and like, you know, different areas because the fragrance is just like so vast. There's so many different types and like, you know, like florals, and then you've got citrus and then heavier musky. And it's so yeah, that it was just a long process basically.
Yeah. Again, going back to just like something that you needed for you.
Yeah.
Like, does that product do really well? Like, what are some of, besides the cleansing wipes, what are your best sellers?
Card protectors like are our OG, and I think that is what we're known for, and they just continue to just do so well. And we are working on it's like so I've brought like our manufacturing in house, and we've made improvements over the years. But for the past couple of years, I've actually been working on like completely redoing like our hard protectors. We've had to invest in like a machine the size of like the room I'm in now. It's like this giant machine. And we're working on upgrading like the biggest upgrade to our hard protectors, which I'm so excited to do. And we're hoping to launch that kind of summer 2025. So I'm super excited about that. That's gonna be like one of the biggest things like we've ever done as a brand. And I literally have been working on that for years. So I'm super excited about that because it's really great that we can take a product that does so well and just keep it bettering it and keep like, you know, making improvements and listening to customers. I still to this day, like I still hop on our customer care, and I like to see like I'll pick a few messages and I look on our Instagram DMs because I want to see what people are saying. And I say to like my team all the time, like, have we been like, what's has there been any kind of themes this week? Like, are people saying certain things? And that then takes me down the direction of like, okay, I need to be doing things like that. Oh, okay, maybe we need to launch that. Or like, and it's like our guides that I've just launched this year. We've got like 2 28-page guides now. That was from customers being like, okay, I've got this leather, but how do I care for it? So the guides now all have like specific pages for different leathers and different materials. So if you've got that, you can refer to that page and you know then how to care for it. So I just really do. I listen to myself and I kind of listen to like, okay, I think that would be a good product, but just so much customer feedback as well. Really, like I really put a big focus on that.
Yeah, since you have everything in house, like how big is your team? What was your first hire? Like on the business side of things, you know, how do you make sure everything is in tight knit and,
Yeah.
really client focused, really personal. How do you, because you're reaching a lot of people, you have a big following now. How are you able to be everywhere all at once with keeping it so,
Yeah,
personal?
it's it's, and I sometimes think I'm the worst because I'm like, I get involved and people are like, leave me alone, I'm fine. Like, and I'll be like, oh, what are you doing there? Like trying to micromanage everything. So I have to try and stop myself as well because I did everything. Like up until, maybe four 4 years ago, I think was maybe when we did our first hire. I did everything. Like I made all of the protectors. I did all of the packaging. Like went to the post office every day. So giving that over to someone else was really difficult because I'm thinking like they're not gonna like with when you make your protectors, they're gonna put them in like the way I like it. And like I was so particular with it because it was my baby and I wanted to come across the best to our customers, and that was such a big thing for me. I'm really, really lucky that I've got a really great team and I work with my husband as well. Like we do it together and he knows what I'm like and he kind of knows the way like I like things to be done. And he gets that now. Like, and I, it was a process and it has been a process and it's something that I continue to work on as we expand our team, trying to relay that information. And it can sometimes be really difficult as like the founder because it's kind of all in here. And I just assume people know and like I forget to share it sometimes. And they're like, we're
Yeah.
not mind readers. And so that has been a big learning curve. Like, as I say, I didn't I didn't think I'd ever have a team of people. I didn't set out for that. So that's been a huge learning curve in itself. And making sure that we're keeping that level that we had as we grow. And like with our customer care and things like that, like going above and beyond. And we get really lovely feedback about our customer care because we spend a long time on it. And even now, like almost daily, I still get the team being like, oh, what can I do for this? Or what would you do for this? And so I'm still involved in it like daily. And I like that. Like I like knowing what's going on. And I think that makes me like better prepared to make better decisions on the growth of the business. And with Instagram as well, like it's just me that does our Instagram. So I feel like I'm still in Instagram. I'm seeing what other people are sharing. And I think it's like that's great for me because I can engage with our customers and comments and things like that. So that's I think just been really crucial. It's hard and it's as we grow and I feel like I've got less and less time to do things. It's hard to give things up because I love them, but I know I can't be everywhere. So yeah, I'd say it's just it's still an ongoing process trying to find that balance, I think, but we just try and I say to everyone that joins, like customer experience is just at the forefront of everything I want to do. And I want to just constantly improve on that. I'll never be happy where we're at with that, like ever, because I just always want to do better. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I think that's a good thing as a business owner too, though. Like you never want to be satisfied. You never like the whole like you peaked in high school. I don't know if that's a thing in the UK, but it's very much a thing in the US. And like, I don't want to ever have someone say that I peaked in high school, that I'm not going to get better than I was
Yeah.
at a certain point. Like as business owners, like we always want to improve our services, our contracts, our products, our customer service. We always want to be better. We always want to be better versions of ourselves, right? As individuals, therapy and, working out and mental health and all of that stuff. Like, why not do that for our businesses too? The business
100%.
thrives more if we're good and we're putting that into the business and you're listening to feedback. So I totally agree. And I think, like you said, like it's your baby. It's the whole saying, like, it's not business. It's not personal. It's business. Like when you are a business owner, it is personal.
It
It is your,
is.
it's you. It's who you are. It's an
Yeah.
extension of you. At a certain, not all businesses are like that, but some are.
Yeah.
And that has always been my goal is I want to market a business by being myself.
Yeah.
Like if the business cannot be marketed through me, that's not the right fit for me. And I think you are very much like that as well. You said you're the Instagram, you're the face of your Instagram. Who helps you with the marketing? Like like ideas wise, is it you're the one that coming up with the ideas, or does someone help you with the ideas, but you're the one executing? Like, how did you discover this marketing strategy of pouring water on bags to try to market the services? I think it's so fun and entertaining and cool that you do this, but how did that become your marketing strategy?
So I think I work with like I've got people that help me with like our emails. We put a lot of like focus on our emails and things like that. So I do have people that help me with all of that, and we come up with kind of strategy together. In terms of that, I think I remember saying to Craig once, like completely randomly, Craig, can you hold my phone? I need to hold my bag under the tab. And he was like, what are you on about? Like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I just want to show how it works. And I think that's just me, like wanting to, like truly believing in our product and wanting to share that with our customers. And I think because when I first bought my bag, my first designer handbag, there was nowhere to go. There was nothing that like, there was maybe like generic bottles that were aerosols that were made for like boots or like walking boots and things like that. There was no guidance specific on it. And I'm thinking like, how do I use that on my bag? So it's always been such a focus of mine to share like what I've learned over the years and how to care for your bags. And I suppose like using these extreme like sort of like scenarios is sharing like how much faith I do have in our products to our customers and kind of sharing that like, these products aren't tested on like we don't just have like strips of leather. Like I genuinely test these products on my own luxury handbag collection. And that's how much faith I have in them. And if I was not happy and if it didn't work on my bag, then I literally just like they wouldn't exist. Like it's as simple as that. And I guess it's just trying to kind of relay that to our customers and that trust element as well.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I think it's genius. It's so also very entertaining. Also, I love seeing what's in your collection, which I want to talk about in a minute. But you mentioned like you want to share the lessons that you've learned
Yeah.
about caring for your bags or in business, and you want your customers to really get to know you and the people behind the brands. What is the biggest piece of advice that you've learned in business now that you've been doing this for a few years? You've built a team, you've built a successful business. What is in business, what is the biggest lesson you've learned? And like personally, like about yourself or about life, being a business owner?
In terms of business, consistency. Like it's so boring, but it's just this it's so true. Like you've just got to be consistent and it's gonna take, it might take years before you see any results. I was like very lucky in the sense that I seemed to sell products straight away without really making any effort. That didn't continue. I had to like change the way I was doing things and I had to evolve with that. In terms of social media, like, I started with no followers. I remember looking at accounts that had like 5,000 being like, oh my God, if I could only get there one day. And it's just, when I started, I didn't know what I was doing. Like I really didn't understand it, but I just kept going. And I just I had this like greater vision, I suppose, and this kind of self belief that if you just keep doing it, then you're going to get somewhere. I didn't know where, but I just had that kind of mentality where I've got to be consistent. And I have been really strict with myself. Like, even when I'm on holiday, even if I'm not feeling great, like you just try and show up and be consistent. It is like the biggest thing I've sort of taken away from business. That's the biggest, I'd say, like it's not even a hack, but like yeah, it's just if I were to say to someone like who's starting out new, don't expect it to happen overnight because it doesn't, but just be consistent and you will see results over time and evolve with it as well. Like, obviously you've got to be consistent, but you've also got to evolve and understand things that might not work, but you pivot and yeah, that's it really. In terms of personal, and I'd say that I'm still working on this, is trying to find that work-life balance. I mean, I work like every day. We don't have children, and it's not really something that I see for us. And so I'm really like work, 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 work. And it's hard. Sometimes I like get to the end of the week and I'm like, right, I've got to work a weekend. And that can be tricky. I enjoy doing, I enjoy doing what I do. I love my business and my brand. But I do need to try and find a bit of a better work-life balance. Definitely. That's something that is ongoing, I think. I think as a business brand owner, when you're trying to build something, it became me. Like it is me. It seems to be all I talk about. Like it's all I think about. I live and breathe it. And actually, over the past sort of 6 months, I'm like, actually, like I'm nearly 33. who am I? Like, what do actually I want outside of the business? And that's been like a big awakening almost, because I've just been so like fixated for years and years and years that it's kind of like, oh, maybe I could be a bit selfish now and actually like try and find that balance. So yeah, I think 2025 for sure. I really want to try and maybe I have got no hobbies. I like literally my business is my hobby. So I want to try and find something for me. That would be nice.
Yeah. I think it's important what you said. Like, I think we hear a lot about work-life balance, particularly for women who
Yeah.
are or want to be mothers. But
Yeah.
even knowing that's maybe not in the cards for you, that's not what you're looking for, that it's still important for you to have that. For me, because I do want that at some point in the future, that has always been a forefront of why I chose to create a business for myself instead of going the traditional route in my career. And the way that I approach my business has always been important to me. I want to make time for, setting screen time limits and do not
Yeah.
disturb and not answering emails after a certain hour of the day, or not answering on the weekends, or I literally wrote a newsletter. It came out today about that, about, knowing I don't have to answer right now. I could answer tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can take 5 minutes. It does not need to be like, I don't need to be so impulsive. I call it like my toxic trait is my impulsivity. Like, I feel like everything is urgent because like, oh, if you're reaching out to me, you need me. It's like, no, it's
Actually, no.
not. It's really not that important. Like, it is, but it's not. But when your business is you and it's integral to and it is also your livelihood,
Yeah.
it's really hard sometimes to separate. And I think that is why being a wife and a mom has always also appealed to me, is because I want to have something beyond my business or my
Yeah.
career that I focus on. And it's funny, in that bottom of that newsletter today, I've had multiple partners and friends of mine throughout the years, the last couple of years, tell me like, do you have any hobbies that you don't monetize? And I was like, honestly, no. And they're
Yeah.
like, you really should get hobbies. And
Yeah.
so that's my challenge for 2025 is to find hobbies and things that I just do for
For
me
you.
that
Yeah.
make me a better person, so I can show up in my business 110% when I'm in it and make time for myself outside of it. So I think it's really admirable that like you need to do that for yourself too. And it's not just because of motherhood, it's
Yeah.
because it's for you, and it'll allow
100%.
you to be a better boss, better wife,
100%.
better friend, better daughter, like better business owner. Like, you have to have that. And I think that's the struggle. Like, hustle culture was really in for a while, and it was really cute to be really busy, boss babe, all that. And it's still fun. It's still sexy. We can still have those moments, but
Yeah.
there's also, it's okay to take 5 and take a vacation. We get sick. We need time off. But it is really hard, when your business is you and you are the face of your business, it's really hard to delegate to other people so you can take that time off, or just know like, I don't need to answer this right
I'm
now. It is
okay. Yeah.
okay.
And I think that's it. Like, and especially if it's like someone in my team that's asked me, and I'm like, I need to get back to them straight away because it's going to stop them from doing that, or like, and it's like it's that urgency. And actually, it is okay to take time and to just be like, you know what, I'm going to go for a coffee with my friend this afternoon, and I don't have to think about work, or I don't have to try and like. And I think with me, I'll always be like, if I do something like that, well, I've got to work all night. And actually, like,
Yeah.
no, you can just take that, and you don't. It's the guilt, I think, as well. Like, if I take time for me, I'm thinking, oh, but then you've got to make that time up, and it's like, well, actually, no, just you need to find that balance, and like you've just sort of said with like parenthood, like you want that to be a big part of your life, and you want that. That's like such a big thing for you. For me, it was like kind of like, oh my god, like, well, I don't want to be a parent, like I don't want to have children. What do I want? Like, where am I going with this? Like, I don't want to get to like 70 and be like, well, had a business. Like, so
Yeah. What do you have to show for your life? Like, that was the other thing. Like, I part of why I said no to traditional law was parenthood, but part of it was also, okay, I could be making all this money in the world, but I'm working 100-hour weeks and I'm
yeah,
never going to get to see that money. I'm never actually going to enjoy it until the last 10 years of my life that I'm retired, but I just, that just, like, that's it. That's all I
that's
get.
it.
Like,
Yeah,
it's just not like, I want more for
there's
myself
more. There's more.
now. I want to travel. I want to eat good food. I like luxury, like, and not just luxury goods, but like simple luxuries. And I want to spend time with my friends and family. I want to obviously build a family, but there's so much more to life than work. And I think, the UK is similar to the US in that sense, but like the Spanish and the Italians, they do really well. The French of like, work to live versus live to work. And it's just, they have it figured out a lot more than we do, culturally. And it's just, they go on holiday for an entire month. And it's just, I don't think I'll ever be that extreme, but I'm learning to set intentions and goals for how I want to work when I am a mom now. So when that time comes, it's not like this shock to my system of like, I'm twitching, like, oh my God, I can't. It's like, no, like it's okay. Take 5, feed the baby. The baby is important. Like, I actually heard a podcast. I don't know if you know Emma Grede. She's British. She's a CEO of a lot of the Kardashian brands and a lot of big brands here. And she's a CEO of like 5 companies and she has 4 kids. So they asked her, how do you do it all? She goes, my life is a series of trade-offs. Balance does not exist. Some days I'm a good mom. Some days I'm a good CEO. Like, if the kid is sick, the kid is sick, and that's priority. But if the kids are good, focusing on business, like, it's just a series of trade-offs. And like, I understand that and I get that. So I'm building up my life now where I can be comfortable with that and do the best I can now, but also not compromising my health and my sanity and my relationships, because I do want those things too. And like, I need to find the time to have those hobbies. And it's hard. It's really, really hard. But I think that's why entrepreneurship has become so popular, is because it allows us the options to decide what that looks like for us. Like, we get to create it how we want to do it. There's no right way. There's a lot of books and things that are going to tell you like, you have to do this, this, and this to be a successful business. It's successful if you are happy and it is allowing you to achieve the goals that you set out for yourself. So it goes back to having that vision. And I think it's really important to keep that at the forefront. What are some of the biggest like bag trends that you see? Like, it's holiday, it's fall, winter, it's, Black Friday's coming up, and, New Year's, and you bought your bag on New Year's. I bought mine on Black Friday. Like, it's that time of year. What do you see being the biggest trends in handbags or just in luxury in general in the next few years or the next few months?
So burgundy everywhere. We've just shared it. I'm just so obsessed, like burgundy, browns, like all those
I have brown nails right now. I'm wearing brown jeans. I had burgundy before this, and I'm wearing gold flats right now, but I have a pair of burgundy ones too.
I've literally been looking at your nails, and like the girl I work with, she's my friend and she does all of our graphics. She has got the most beautiful nails at the moment, and I've been like looking at them all day. So yeah, burgundies, browns, rich tones, I think I've just so in. And the kind of bigger bags I think are in as well, like the slouchy. I've like noticed loads of people like the rose bag, and they're like carrying them like with that, not like conventional way. They're kind of like carrying them like that. I think really like nice leathers, like soft squidgy leathers are just so in at the moment. But certainly we shared a post we did like a carousel on like burgundies that we're just loving. And it got so much engagement because it's just like all of these really rich tones. I think Bottega, like they're kind of like the Andiamo. The one with I love that bag. I just think that is such a beautiful.
I honestly did not expect Bottega to have the relevance that it has had for such a long time.
Crazy.
Maybe one day. I'm really into suede right now too, but yeah, the rich tones and leather. What is your next bag on your list, do you think?
Maybe an Andiamo, to be honest.
What color?
I also in like a rich color, like I think they actually did like a green, like quite a light. I don't really have any green bags. And so I saw this kind of like olivey green, and I do like that. I don't know if I would use it. Maybe it's more of a kind of like spring bag. But I think if I were to get one now, I don't think they do a burgundy. Bottega do a burgundy. I can't remember what it's called. They don't call it burgundy. Something like that. But also Nagadi. I don't know if you're familiar with that brand. She's a lady from New York, and their bags are about £200. So like much more like affordable versus Bottega, but they kind of, I'm gonna like, this is like my
Send me the name after.
so this is this style.
That's cute.
It's
Yeah.
so, it's honestly, and it's neoprene. It's not leather, so hence like it's like a bit more affordable. They had that bag in burgundy and it's sold out, and I missed it. And I would love that in burgundy because it's such a great throw bag.
Yeah.
So yeah, something burgundy without a doubt on my wish list. Maybe the Yves Saint Laurent, the Le 5-7, that kind of like hobo bag with the like the YSL logo that comes over. I love that bag.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go to like, I tend to try and go to London for a few days every like December to see the Christmas lights and things like that. So yeah, that's kind of like my forecast that I'm like gonna be going bag shopping, and I haven't bought a bag in a while, so I'm excited.
Yeah, I'm going to Vienna, Prague, and Budapest for the holidays. And obviously, Europe is better to shop because of the
Yeah.
VAT. So maybe I'll treat myself. I don't quite know what it'll be yet. My birthday is coming up, so
Yeah.
it's like I could do it for that.
Yeah.
But I also should be good and not do it so I can buy a house. But I don't know. Like I'm getting twitchy. I'm like, should I? I'm like, I'm already in Europe. I might as well. But I don't know. We'll see. I also like, I think too, what I like about it is that the collections in each city are unique. And I
Yeah.
like that something that I get over there is going to be different than something I could find at the stores here. But I love going window shopping. We have like an area of Miami called the Design District, and it's where all of the designer shops are. And like, I just like going for lunch or ice cream or a coffee and walking around and seeing all the displays. I love all that stuff.
Yeah.
For anyone who is looking to get their first handbag, what is like a good classic bag?
So I would say go with like a very neutral color. Don't go anything like too trendy. Don't go anything like too bright. I would tend to stick with like a very neutral, like a brownie, like cognac-y color, like a really great neutral. That would be like my like recommendation. Something that is like you can use in like maybe carrying multiple ways. Like for me, my first one, it was like I think they called it like deer. The color was, it was like a really lovely like buttery toffee color. And I love that it had the top handle and then the crossbody strap. So something that you can maybe wear multiple ways and that you can feel that you can get your use out of it in that respect. I wouldn't go too logo heavy either, because I do feel like logos go in and out. And I think that unless it's like Louis Vuitton monogram print, which like, you know,
That's different.
it's been there through the ages, like that is like, yeah, it's never really gonna go. Yeah, so I would say, I mean, like a Speedy is a great first bag. It's like, you know, it's super easy to use. It holds a ton. If you get the bandoulier version, you can have it crossbody, top handle.
See, I didn't get that. I got, it was that hadn't come out yet. This was, I got it. What year was that? I was 15, so 12 years ago. Yeah, 12 years ago. I don't know what year that was. They didn't exist yet, the crossbody. So I thought about like paying to get it made. But that's like, I don't know if it's worth it. And yeah, I have all my neutrals now, like the base, like, you know, like I have Louis Vuitton, I have Gucci, I have Balenciaga, I have Dior. So I'm like, I could also not buy anything now in Europe and go wait till I can go like Chanel or Maze, or I could keep in that like 2 to 4 range. But I'm like, I kind of want to wait and treat myself. So I don't know. That's why I'm like, I don't know what I want to do. But I love like green, burgundy, and navy are like those are my go-to colors. So I'm like, I kind of, since I have the neutral, the cognac, and the blacks, maybe I go for like a navy or a green, because that is a neutral for me. I wear that all the time. That's why I got that suede bag in green, because it's like, how much let me see how much I use this one to see if it's something that I really want to invest in, like the Andiamo or something like that. But like, or a brown, like brown is now. I want a car with a brown, like the chocolate interior. Like that is my dream. I don't know. We'll see. But this has been so great. Thank you so much, Kaelyn, for coming on the podcast. You could leave us with one piece of advice, whatever it is, whether it's personal, it's business, it's bag care. Like, what is like your like one piece of advice that you would have?
I mean, is this really bad? But like, always carry a cleansing wipe. Is that really bad?
No, I think No, it's all good. I honestly really do need to buy those in
Yeah.
bulk. Like,
Yeah, no, I need to send you some stuff. But yeah, no, I'm always, and yeah, find like, and for me as well, like find your like people, and then like have a small circle. Like I have a really small circle, but I have the best people around me, and that's for business and personal. Like I don't have like tons of
100%.
friends, but I have the best friends that we've been friends for like 20 years, and I think that's really important. And like know who you are, like, and not, don't be afraid, like you're good enough. Like that, it sounds so cliche, but I just think that so many people are so insecure and like try and fit in and try and think that they're not enough, but like that you are, like, and people know that, like, that it's got really deep, but that's, I didn't
No,
want
I
to just
think
leave
it's
it on have a
no.
tons of life, but yeah.
No, but I think it's really important to touch on that. I was in my intro for this episode, which you'll hear when it comes out. I was talking about giving yourself compassion
Yeah.
for all the past versions of you. And, like it's hard. Like, it's so easy with social media to get caught up in the rat race, or you have to have this bag or
Oh
this
yeah,
trend or whatever. Like, we're talking about trends, we're talking about luxury this whole episode,
of
but at the end of the
course.
day, like, the real thing is, like, the reason you built this business, the reason I built my business, is because we saw a white space in the market that was important to us, and we built these businesses for people like ourselves.
Yeah.
And it took knowing who we are and allowing ourselves to evolve and grow into who we are. So I think that's a perfect way to end, is just really being honest with yourself. And I think, again, it's the end of the year, it's the perfect time to really sit back and reflect on what has happened in the last year, and really, like, who you are, who you want to be, what you learned, what you can do differently, what went right, and what can you continue to
Yeah.
do to make yourself a better version of yourself next year, and giving yourself grace for maybe the mistakes that you made along the
Yeah.
way. So
It's
I think that
everyone.
is perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. No,
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much. Thank you all for listening. I will talk to you next week.